have forgotten.
Yes, nurses have gotten. Go ahead.
Nurses have forgotten that we're part of the equation. We say it out of our mouth, but we don't do it in our practice, right? We forget that the most important part of the patient-client relationship is us, and bringing back our own self-care, realizing that without that, we really can't assist other people. And I think nurse coaching brings that to the fore, but it also shines a light on what nurses do. Nursing is an art as much as it is a science. And, you know, even Florence Nightingale said in Notes on Nursing that nursing is knowledge. It's the knowledge of how to put the Constitution into a state of health. It's knowledge that everyone ought to have. Nurse coaching allows us that space and that conversation. Marilyn, do you mind muting yourself?
Okay, sorry, just
it's okay. There we go. Thank you, guys. So that's the conversation we're having. And I think a lot of nurses are looking for that connection back to their patient, to what brought us into nursing. And nurse coaching is doing that for us as a profession. It's a newer board certification through the American Holistic Nurse Credentialing Corporation. So I'll talk about that a little bit in the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and do the presentation. Write down your questions or save them till the end, or you can even put them in the chat. And think about what is it you would like for yourself if you became a nurse coach? How would you like to bring this to your practice? So I'm going to share my screen from the beginning.
did y'all lose me?
No, I hear you.
Okay, but I can't see you now. I don't know what happened.
Oh,
We see you.
Okay. I can hear you. Oh, let's see.
can you hear me, Karen?
Yeah, I got it. I have the presentation. Yes, I have it now.
All right, very good, very good. So we are Advancing Nurse Coaching, and this presentation is what is nurse coaching. So professional nurse coaches, the requirements to become board certified are that you are a registered nurse with additional training and expertise. We follow evidence-based practice, and we help individuals and communities reach their full potential. Nurse coaches are board certified by the American Holistic Nurse Credentialing Corporation. It is Magnet and Pathways recognized. Nurse coaches practice in all clinical settings, community settings, critical care, private practice, anywhere that a nurse would work, you can use your coaching skills. We help patients navigate things as chronic illness, aging, health maintenance, end of life. Anywhere you can find a need that a nurse can fill that gap, you can do nurse coaching. Nurses have always been resilient. We find ways to make the system work when we see that things aren't working. We are patient advocates. We recognize this innate health within people, and this ability that we have to hear beyond the words or have that intuitive hit to go down and check on someone just because we think we should. That is this essence of nursing that I think most people don't realize that is the art of nursing. Our public doesn't know about that. And nurse coaching, as it becomes more widely recognized, people are beginning to pay more attention and going like, what do nurses really do? So that's what we're doing. Nurse coaching is building this network of relationships between practitioners and with their clients, because we identify patient goals. And while we're learning how to help people do that, we're identifying our own. Whatever we talk about in a coaching relationship has as much value to the nurse coach as it does to the client. It's a reciprocal relationship. The difference is with our nursing knowledge and our knowledge of how to put the body into a state of health, we bring an element to our practice that people readily identify with. We know we do it. We know that we make connections with our patients. We walk in the door and there's things that we just know. Now we're putting some form to this relationship to empower our patients to take the reins, to help them reach their goals and to navigate whatever's going on with them. We can't do that for people. We've always known that. But through nurse coaching, in that specific realm of conversation, we hand the reins back to this person and say, you've got this. And you share your knowledge of whatever they need that help them along their journey. And it may just be one encounter, maybe all we have, but you just never know how powerful that conversation can be. And then
we had a young nurse coach in the emergency room one night, and they wheeled in a young man, just 25 years old, unable to ambulate independently. He said, I want to make some changes, but I want to talk to the doctor. I want to find out what is possible. And the nurse said, well, I don't, the doctor's over there and doesn't have time right now, but he'll be coming. Why don't we have a conversation? And as the conversation rolled around, she said to him, you know, calories are energy, and you have everything you need to take the next step. And he realized that he did. I don't know what the doctor said, but he had already heard exactly what he needed to hear. Thanks so much, Teresa.
Oh yeah, I love that. And I think if we think about it, there's probably times in every one of our practices where we know that we said something or did something that truly impacted someone, and people remember that for the rest of their lives. I was on a call one day, and one of the participants said, you know, what nurses don't realize is all of us patients, especially us men, fall a little bit in love with you because we just feel how much you care about us. And I thought, wow. And the way he said it was just so, it just kind of touched my heart, because I do think we forget that. We forget that presence that we bring, and people know it. So nurse coaching skills are excellent listeners. We hear beyond the words. We uncover insights and clarity for their next steps. And we do that just through normal conversation. It's not always a timed or specific conversation. However, I do think sometimes those are better because people have different ears to hear when you say, can we talk about something? Or would it be okay if I shared with you some of these powerful questions that, like, it would, you know, when somebody's getting ready to share important, powerful information to you, your ears perk up, you begin to hear a little different. That's what coaching brings to nursing, is these little fine-tuned skills that allow us to open up that space to share new information with individuals. And in that space, they may share something with us that is incredibly valuable. So we bring that presence, we hold space for people. But one of the lines in coaching is we walk a little beside or a little bit behind to witness their transformation. It's not in our doing. We don't do anything specific for the client. We show them how resilient they are on their own. And they can take the information or not. Sometimes it's more than one conversation. But anyone who's experienced that kind of conversation knows how powerful it is to your life. This is part of this journey of living in this world that helps us to suffer a little bit less. A lot of people ask, well, so what can I do with a nurse coach board certification? Truthfully, the short answer is anything you want. You can take nurse coaching wherever you want to go. Many people who don't want to be in private practice, or who have other goals and aspirations, if it's leadership, and especially like our nurse practitioners and people who see people routinely, coaching skills are incredibly powerful during those conversations because we ask different questions. It's a different come from when we actually see somebody as innately healthy in spite of what their presenting circumstances are. Case management, also a perfect place for nurses to work. If you've researched anything about nurse coaching, most of the patient navigators, case managers, insurance companies are all advertising for nurse coaches because they're beginning to see the value that this extra skill is bringing to that aspect of healthcare. And, one of the biggest things, if we can save money by keeping people out of the hospital, it's a great way to do that. And it's the empowerment of individuals to take a look and to connect with their own self-care to create the health that they're looking for. I don't know anyone who wants to go to the hospital or go to the doctor. And yet that seems to be the go-to for everything, which is why a lot of nurses are going into private practice because they want to be on the health promotion side of the equation, help people prevent them from ever getting to that space. And so we talk about the, I'm sure everyone's heard of the wheel of life, all the different aspects of a human being. The one thing we often leave out is this thought connection, this thought bridge, if you will, of where true health comes from. And it comes from within. It's already built into this system, and we can point people in that direction. So
yeah, I'd love to share the statistics from the NIH study. Which say, and this has been published in 2018, so it's not brand new, but at that time, 25% of nurse coaches worked in a hospital setting, and 25% were self-employed. The other 50% were everywhere in the community. It could be a birthing center, it could be a doctor's office, it could be hospice and end of life, a school nursing. So because nurse coaching goes all across all of the clinical areas and completely across all of the stages of the lifespan, it is, as Teresa says, limitless.
I get excited when I hear about the possibilities, because I think when I grew up as a nurse, I never thought about working outside the hospital till one day when I was working cardiopulmonary rehab. 4 or 5 of the ladies asked me if I would do nutrition classes. And so I started my own little nutrition class outside of the hospital, and they came for that kind of education. We had a great time. And that started my first love of like, oh my gosh, the public doesn't know. There's so much they don't know about health and wellness. And truthfully, I think it's connection with other people who are on their same journey. So how do you get started? You must be a registered nurse with experience. The requirements to sit for the board certification are 60 hours of holistic CE and 60 hours of supervised coaching practice. Those are the minimum qualifications to sit for the board certification.
So you've already started. You get 1 CE.
That's right. You get 1 CE right here.
I'm gonna pee.
And with our program, we go into very much detail on what this holistic view looks like and how we're not separate from our environment, our thinking, our health, and the relationships and everything in our life. And those are the things that I think nurses take into account for our patients. And I think sometimes we're so busy, we sort of forget about that. But nurse coaching is bringing us back to center. So at Advancing Nurse Coaching, we do offer the required 60 hours of CE. It includes your 60 hours of supervised practice. This program is 100% online, self-paced with rolling enrollment. And we are a sponsored program by the American Holistic Nurse Credentialing Corporation, which Margaret Erickson is the CEO of that company. And that's a very big deal because she went through about 16,000 pieces of paper to make this possible for us to sit for this board certification. Many meetings. The first white paper was written back in 2013. You can look that up online if you're interested to see where this has been and who's really behind championing nurses to bring their skills and desires and themselves out into this community to create a ripple effect of health. And I think it really starts with each of us individually.
We have currently 5 programs nationally, 1 in Canada, and there are 3 academic programs as well that are in Minnesota, Texas, and Florida. So all of those programs offer education for nurse coaching.
So a little bit about our program. The foundation of our program we call the 3 principles. It's truthfully this thought connection that we have to life, of how we live life. We learn through what we call logic, but was realized through insight. And we have a framework that we use for that, because really we all know, we've all known patients who, for whatever reason, they died or they got better based on what they thought was happening with them. So realize, and that's this part of realizing you and your patient's inherent capacity for health and well-being. It's a foundation of how life works. It brings awareness to that health and resilience that we all have, that we all want. It seems like a lot of people think that it's not possible for them, or they've given up, or they know they're suffering and they're looking for something to help them. It's not out there, it's in here. It's within each human being as we realize and understand this connection that we have to our mind, thought, and consciousness of life. Some people put it mind, body, and spirit, but it's this true essence, this true nature of who and what we are as human beings. And that's what the foundation of our program is about, is uncovering this innate capacity to heal and be healed from birth to death. There's all different ways that we talk about it. There's any way you can imagine showing up as a nurse. This foundation is there. When we understand this connection, this innate health that we have, we stop judging each other, which improves collegiality. It decreases reactivity in our daily life, because if we know where we're coming from and we know that life is moving through us and coming out of our eyes, we get to see what we want to see. And we realize that everyone in the world is doing the same thing. We can sort of have a better view of why things are the way that they are. This empowers us, especially our patients, to take the reins and not give up so easily or get discouraged so quickly. It also bridges gaps in self-care. Not just self-care, but in medical care as well. Nurses have the eyes to see, like, where do we need to help this person move along in their care, whether it's encouraging them to walk or encouraging them to make decisions or giving them extra information so they can make informed decisions. It leads to better outcomes, more accountability, more engagement, healthier clients, healthier nurse-client relationships, and healthier nurse-to-nurse or healthcare provider relationships. And it improves our response ability through insight. How we respond in any given situation is truly coming from how we think about the world, which is no different than anyone else. And it gives us a sense of control, a sense of purpose, and it allows us to move through life a little more easily.
We had a wonderful nurse practitioner who was working with 80-year-old diabetic patient. And at one point, the patient came in and said that she had lost 4 family members in 3 months. And she was just beside herself, not able to remember to take her blood pressure medicine, barely remembering to take her insulin. And Jan just sat with her quietly. And she said, you can't be in 2 places at once. You can't be here now, taking care of yourself and living in the past. And that lady just got fire in her eyes. She said, do you mean to tell me that I'm not taking care of myself because I'm thinking about them? I can't bring them back, but I have the rest of my life to live. And 3 months later, she came back with more blood sugar checks than she had had in the previous 3 years, and an A1C that was ideal for her. That is the power of nurse coaching.
I love that story. It's just amazing to me. And I know we can probably all think of someone like that we've assisted on that journey. So with these CEs that we offer through Advancing Nurse Coaching, you can actually become double board certified as a holistic nurse and a nurse coach.
CEs.
CEs, yes. And if you complete all 4 of our courses, C101, 2, 3, and 4, you also receive an Advancing Holistic Health, who's our parent company, health coach certificate of completion. So you can have that additional recognition for completion of this program. And it's a testament of your ability to want to do more, to care for people in a different way, to embrace your own growth and development. If we don't transform along with our patients or with this new knowledge that's coming out into the world, we all know where we've been with the post-pandemic world that we're in. And I think nurses are perfectly poised to bring in a new era of people really wanting and embracing self-care, transformation, living a better life, and knowing that they've always had the power. And now we can point them to it more directly. I love this picture because there really is no time like the present. Indeed, it's all we've ever had. We're here now. We're here to bring new knowledge out into the public. I'm always surprised by how little the public actually knows what we do. I was in a conversation yesterday, and while she's been in the healthcare world arena for a very long time, she had no idea how interconnected our mind, bodies, and spirits are. Like, how can you hurt in one place when the problem is in another? And I said, well, that's called referred pain. And she goes, I've never heard that. It's so second nature to us. Just little things like that. My daughter often says, I say things to people about how the body works, and they're always surprised, like, where did you get that information? And she goes, I am my mother's daughter. And I said, well, so we unknowingly impart this knowledge. And I think nurse coaching allows us this larger space to really educate people, to do healthcare promotion and prevention, and show people that we weren't made to be sick. If you look at every advertisement on TV, it's about what pill you can take to fix something that's wrong with you. And the truth is, when we put a body into a state of health, the body can heal itself. And that's what I think nurses and nurse coaching is here to do at this moment in history. So we are Teresa Walding and Lynn McCright. Thank you for being here. I would like to open it up to any questions that you might have, comments, thoughts.
We can start with the chat, Teresa, unless somebody needs to go, and you would have a precedence if you would like to ask your question now.
So Linda wrote, do you see a connection with coaching, mentoring nurses, nursing faculty and students? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I have one of our students who was a coach to the executive leaders of the hospital. And she was having such good results helping with the executives, but also with the nursing staff on the floor. They moved her to the nursing staff on the floor because it was having such a great impact. And then they realized they needed her in employee retention and recruitment.
Mm-hmm.
And she took that nursing skill straight over there, and she is doing an amazing job. She's taking this skill that she's learned about how individuals work, because she described to me, she said, I have one person who I just can't seem to get through. It's like she can't quite grasp that the way her thinking works is what's giving her these negative results in her leadership experience. And one day she had a different conversation with her about, listen, there's nothing else going on here except for how you're thinking about your circumstances. And she said, I asked some different questions. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but she said, Teresa, she suddenly just got it. And she left the room and she said she was crying because she realized how much pain and grief she was causing herself, and it revolves around insecurity and imposter syndrome and all of the things that happen to people. And she said, this has been such an invaluable discussion and learning. I finally understand why I'm here. Most of us wonder, why am I here? Why do I keep going to work every day? Is this all there is to nursing? I was thinking that before in 2015 when I was ready to quit nursing. I thought, if it's this hard, I don't want to do it anymore. Connie, stop laughing at me. I know you.
Oh, sorry.
It's true though, isn't it?
It is true.
Yeah. And realizing that I was the one creating that environment for me to live in. I had a new job on Monday morning because I stopped doing that. I realized, oh my gosh, I'm the one that can't see possibility. I'm the one who's so worried that it's making my body sick. And I don't know what to do. That was the bigger thing. I didn't know what else to do. And when I found the 3 principles, which is what we teach in this course, my world changed on a dime. How is it possible to go to a conference on a Friday, hear something new about how I work, and Monday morning have a new job? It's that in my world back then seemed like an impossibility, but it happened. And by the way, my chronic pain of 5 years, who I'd been going to every doctor under the sun, which takes a lot of time, was gone. And I thought, something about us knowing that is the essence of nursing. And it gives us a way to navigate life, to bring our best selves forward, and to really impart that healing that we care about people. I don't know a nurse. I have never known a nurse who woke up, went to work and say, I think I'll do a bad job today.
Right.
And we get there, and that's exactly what we leave thinking. I should have done more. Why am I doing this? We start doubting all of those things. And then we go to sleep and we wake up and we're like, okay, well, maybe today will be different. Not if you use the same thinking that you used the day before. It's a new thought. It's a new world.
Well, one of the questions on the chat is in regard to the practicum, which is the coaching hours, and how is that supervised is the question. We actually include the supervision in our coursework. And I know that there are some programs that require a recording of a session and then it's critiqued by other students. But we really honor that conversation that you're having with your client, your patient. And we don't we can't imagine how somebody else could come into that conversation, which we consider a sacred space. So our supervision is less hands-on than some, but it respects the fact that all of us already are licensed health professionals. So we bring that to you as honoring your experience and your nursing registration. I do want to say also that we're one of rather unique in that some of our students are in other professions. So we have an interprofessional collegial group. We have two audiologists who are in Canada now. And we feel like that really enriches our sessions to have an interprofessional student body.
But
So-
beyond, okay, go ahead.
Oh, and so to follow that, that I was curious. So, in the certification process, I'm thinking, and I don't know, that the curriculum uses, a framework, but then possibly, and again, I'm just, putting that out here, like scenarios as to, okay, this is a situation based on the principles, etc. This is what you would do. Okay, you're in practice, whatever that looks like. In terms of whether it's a patient, or let's say you're a nurse manager and staff, or maybe you're a faculty and you have students, and you would then use those experiences that you're currently having, applying, and then reporting that as your, again, this sounds probably too logistical for what you wanted to talk about.
No,
I
no,
was curious how
Yeah,
that really plays out. So that's why I asked that question.
there's a couple of answers there. One is that the curriculum is in the student dashboard. So you can look at that there. And it's the
Oh,
same
okay.
basically that we used with Texas Wesleyan University when we teach in their DNP program.
Okay.
The other is that we didn't mention that we have 2 coaching calls per course, and there are 4 courses. So you have the opportunity to speak directly to faculty, and it's a student advising session with faculty. It's your coaching session, and that is one of the ways that you have an opportunity to share in regard to the experience that you're working with on location. The other part of it is the real difference in what we're doing today is bringing nursing back to our intuitive understanding, our experiential understanding, and valuing that. In fact, the first book, Holistic Nursing, a Handbook for Practice, which was written by Barbie Dossi, among others, has renamed nursing intuition as informed insight, informed knowing. Well, we are
Informed, I'm sorry, what was that? Informed
knowing,
knowing. Okay.
and we're finally able now to turn the corner and give it the credit that it's due.
Okay.
And Linda, one other place where you have the opportunity for supervision is in our group calls on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
Which is a group call, and we, students coach each other or bring, comments or concerns to the group, because, if someone else is having that issue with, say, a client or wondering what to do, we talk about it during class, and we're always available by email as well.
Mhm.
So you have a lot of touch points where you can let us know what's going on as far as the supervision goes.
I really appreciate the context and the conceptual, framing of the interaction, and the relationship, and, all of the nuances, of that process, if you will. But it's really helpful to say, okay, when this happens, these are some strategies that you
Yes.
can pull out of your pocket, and you can immediately, while you're, trying to maybe figure out more about what's happening. Because, we all get faced with situation, you'll think, oh my gosh, I've never, I know that I should be able to handle this. because it's, it's in front of me and I need to handle it. And, I'm called upon to do something, what should I do first? Or what can buy me time until I can really figure out, the next steps into, being maybe more effective. I mean, again, and I've been at this for a very long time as well. And
Yeah.
I think that it's helpful to renew ourselves, because sometimes we get stuck because maybe we've done some things well, and we reach and we pull out the same cards, or and we have the same we use we've out we've out the tools we pull out of our toolbox are well worn, and maybe we need to replace them with maybe something that again, that builds on what we've built or what we've developed, but maybe provides, as you're saying, a different perspective. So it sounds like too, there's a lot of, and I'm thinking that a lot of self-reflection. So I would think that maybe the curriculum offers some of that reflection and reflexive work before you really get into, I don't know. I'm just
Well, that's true. And
here.
our very first course is called Essentials, and the
Okay.
second is called Understanding, because the most important part is for us to learn it for ourselves first.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
then the third course actually is sharing. And those live calls that we do on a weekly basis
mhm.
are very well attended generally, because the students are required to attend 3 for each course, but they come
Mhm.
much more often because they're so inspired by the
Mhm.
work that the other students are doing.
Yeah, I think that this whole, and I hate to use the word burnout because it's so overdone, but well-being, resiliency, all of those, all of those more positive. I think that we're really in a crisis, and again, that if coaching is a strategy to, get us out, not, get us past that, so we can go back to, and you said this, like what we really were meant to do or be in our profession.
Well, and it's all about promoting health,
Right.
starting with ourselves first.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
what we realize is that each one of us is naturally healthy. We
mhm,
just have to see that for ourselves. So it's such a privilege for Teresa and I to be able to just watch our students blossom,
mhm,
recognize their own true resilience.
mhm.
Teresa, I see Ida has her hand up. Let's
Hey,
go.
Ida.
Hi, excellent information. I'm loving it. Uh, I originally was thinking more of nurse coaching, similar to, I think, the first question that you read from Miss Linda, dealing with student, coaching the students, helping the students, uh, to be a better nurse, to understand nursing, to guide them in their nursing career. But as you spoke more, it's just let me know the importance of the self-care
Yeah.
and the power of our thoughts. And when we as nurses can grasp that first, and Miss Lynn, you just said it, that we have to see that we're healthy, first of all. And
Yes.
then it's the power of our thoughts. So if we can grasp that, then we can share it with others, not just nursing students, but our patients also, the power and the thoughts. I love the whole concept of the holistic nursing.
Yeah,
There
and
are
I
a lot.
think was it Mandela? Was it Mandela that says like no one benefits if we play small or we hide our light under a bushel, because when our light shines, I know I'm getting philosophical here and I don't mean to, but that, that we make it bright for everyone. So then that power to, to, like you said, impact one person's life.
Well, and
Really matters.
we work throughout the lifespan. We have many nurse coaches who work at the end of life.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we see those clients as healthy because
Mhm.
they have an innate health that cannot be damaged, cannot be removed, is natural to them, and is their connection to who they are and the greater source.
Yeah.
So I just, I have no reservations about saying that we can see health within each one of us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ida.
Yeah, thank you, Ida.
So I wanted to say two things here as far as that. Linda said, I just had one comment about that place when you don't know what to say for someone.
Hmm.
That coaching skill is when we can be okay with silence to
Mhm.
let the next question come up. It's not
Mhm.
one we think of, it's one that comes to us in
Mhm.
that space of silence. And sometimes the other person offers that question.
Well,
Mhm.
and we can say to our client, I don't know what to say here. Let
Yes.
me just sit with that for a minute.
But that's a skill for us internally to be okay with that space, knowing that that's holding space for that answer to come. So that's one of the skills of coaching that, we're always trying to fill in those spaces,
Yeah.
and we don't have to.
Well,
Yeah.
I also think that we don't always know how long it takes to process information, especially if we're under stress and when we get a lot of information, and maybe it's not all good news, and so we don't know what to do. So somebody just coming in and like this, just firing all these solutions or all these answers or asking more questions, it's just so not helpful. I worked with individuals who had sustained head injuries, and actually more with their caregivers. And I remember some wisdom from a caregiver. He says, Linda, always remember before you say anything, is it because this, I or my, family member needs to hear it, or do you need to say it? And it's more about what you need to feel like you have to get out there so that you check that box or you fill out that form. He says, so really think about that. And I'm like, ooh, that's really brilliant. I need to really think about this. And before because I love to talk, and I'm thinking, I've been here a long time. You surely want to hear all this stuff, right? But in fact, it can be so, not helpful at all.
You just reminded me, we were on a call with Dr. Helen Erickson, Margaret Erickson's mother, and she was talking about that, needing to fill in the gap or give the answer.
Mhm.
And she goes, stop doing that. Where's the fun in that? Watch them find their own answer.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh, I love that, because
Yeah,
that's
that's a
coaching.
good one. Yeah,
That's coaching.
it
So
is.
thank you for that. Let's see. V Lyons, she says, I work with adolescents. Please provide some insight on working with children. Children have innate health and wisdom.
Mhm.
And what I have seen with my own children, with other people who I've spoken to, and I don't have any answers here, I'm just saying what I've seen. When we show a child how they work psychologically, how their own thinking works, that they make up all of the things in their world of what this means for them, and we show them that that's what's happening, we give them the gift of self-control, the gift of seeing that they can react or respond to their life circumstances with a parental or teacher support that lets them know, you're okay. There's a video out, one of our mentors, Dr. Blevins, had on YouTube about children who learned this concept, this way of living in schools. And the children's comments, a few of them were, I didn't know I had the control to not pay attention to the bully.
Yeah.
And being able to know that I'm okay, that's about them and not me. That's a big deal, because in bullying, it looks like it's about you.
Mhm.
And we can apply that to nursing, we call it lateral violence, bullying, whatever term we want to use. It's when someone doesn't know where they're coming from and they're looking for relief, so it looks like you're the problem. That's not true. That's you thinking you need relief, and if that person would do X, Y, or Z, or if they weren't here, or whatever thing you're pointing to, that's about you and not the other person. And when you show that to children, they get it immediately. I told my daughter one time, and she told me this because I had her come to some of our meetings and conferences on this subject. I told her, I said, no one can make you think or feel anything you don't want to feel. Well, because of her age, when I told her that, she just believed it. She didn't question it. She just thought that was a fact. And she goes, why don't people know this? And I thought, so you know, when you're helping a child to learn this idea that we're all just now coming to the realization of it, you've changed their entire life. And I think when the adult in that child's life knows about principles, we talk to our children differently and we impart different knowledge.
It's been really fun. A colleague of ours in Canada has come out with a series of books for different age groups. And one of the titles is My Guide Inside. You can find it on Amazon.
Yeah, her name is Krista Campsall.
Kids are not being left out.
Campsall is her last name, and it has a little owl on it, and it's for 3 different age groups.
I think 4 now.
Is there 4 now? I think one's going to be adults now, but it's really quite remarkable. One of our mentors, Dr. Pettit, he reads it to his grandchildren, and he goes, I think it helps me more than it does my grandchildren.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I think anywhere we can get knowledge that has the ring of truth, because we know when things are true, right? We have done something for our human spirit. And again, that's back to the essence of nursing, the knowledge of how to put a body, the constitution, into a state of health. We've been unlearning it for so long, we don't know what it looks like. You know, if we look at the medical model, it looks like we need to name it, blame it, and give it a pill instead of embracing this innate health that's within us and pointing people in that direction. And I'm not saying that we don't need medications, because some medications are incredibly helpful to people. They save people's lives.
Yeah.
But when we help people know that you can decrease stress level, it helps a body heal. How many times have we all heard, if I could just get them to decrease their stress, maybe they won't die?
Mhm.
Because we know the physiology that goes with stress. And so that is health promotion and prevention.
For Dr. Pettit, it's so cute. He loves to quote it. The going from fast and furious to calm and curious.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And that's that quieting of our mind so we can get new information. I forget the statistic. It's like 90% of what we think we thought we just
Right.
keep thinking over and over and over.
Mhm.
So we have to quiet our mind a little bit to hear new information, to grow the ears, to like really embrace. Listen, we're talking about something that's different. It's not the same old, same old. I'd been looking for 20 years. When I found the 3 principles, it rocked my world. I thought, why didn't I know this? I've been looking, like actively looking for this information. And, but when I heard it, I knew it for a fact. And that's an important distinction to mind knowledge, my professional knowledge, and the knowledge of how it works. Not as an impersonal power that we all have that's running the show.
A quick question. You mentioned in the credentialing that it's open to interprofessional, not strictly nurses. Okay.
Only nurses can be board certified, though.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, only
All right.
nurses can sit for the nurse coach board certification or holistic nurse board
Okay.
certification.
And why is that? Because nursing is the first and only profession to offer a board certification in coaching.
Okay.
We're way ahead of the curve. And of course, we outnumber the docs 4 to 1. There's 4 million nurses and 1 million docs. So we're the largest profession worldwide, 14 million in on this globe.
You know, it's interesting, and I promise I know we need to probably wrap up, but I've been really interested in, because I'm faculty and I'm working with students now with the whole mentoring and coaching. And you mentioned I'm from Texas too, and I'm not far from Texas Wesleyan as well. And about, you mentioned DNP and, you know, that, and again, the coaching and mentoring. And so it's been really interesting to hear your framework in terms of coaching, because when you look at or at least I've looked at the mentoring and coaching literature, is it this, you know, what's this, how they're same, are they different, you know, where's the overlap, and of course, you know, trust, relationships, all. But the coaching, actually, at least what I've read, had to do with more almost logistic. I mean, you know, you can, because there was one of the articles I read talked about a mentor could be a coach, but a coach can be a mentor, because they looked at coaching as looking at specific tasks to actually perfect your ability to perform that whatever activity that you coach someone through it. Anyway, I don't mean to
The,
carry
long,
on, but
the longest standing and what is considered the gold standard is actually business coaching. The International Coaching Federation began that more than 20 years ago,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's not for healthcare.
Right.
They wouldn't say that. Race healthcare also, but I'm just saying it came through business. So
Mhm.
that is their framework.
Right, exactly. Well, like I said, so this has been really, so I was real curious. I don't know how calm I am, but I was real curious as to, in signing up for this, you know, how you would define coaching, and then what would be the principles, et cetera, and how that compared to what I've reviewed in the literature and the, you know, from a mentoring coaching perspective, specifically with students. I was looking at it from more of an academic, if you will, educational perspective. So
Well,
anyway, that's my
recall the
question.
definition, Teresa. It's bringing health, promoting health at
Right.
all levels. So
Mhm.
it's the complete package, body, mind, and spirit.
Right.
And Linda, you're right. There is a framework for coaching.
Hmm.
You know, it's holding space. They very much outline, like, what do you do in a session?
Hmm.
But it's a loose framework. It's not like a prescription.
Yeah.
It's not. If you try to follow the prescription, you're not going to be present with your client,
Yeah.
or you're going to be trying to figure out their problem for them, which we
Mhm.
know coaching is pointing to letting that person empower themselves to solve their own problems. And a lot of people use SMART goals. You know, coaching has a thing, you know, it's pick your goal. Tell me how you're going to solve that problem. You know, when are you going to try to solve it by, and then what happened? You know, so there's this overarching framework.
Mhm.
The truth is, problems don't get solved like that,
Right.
right? You've
Right.
noticed that, or you wouldn't be
Mhm.
curious about this.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what makes this different is we already see the person, the individual,
Mhm.
as having the right answers for them.
Yeah.
We're holding this space, and we show people how their own thinking works, because that's where we live.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah. So but you guys have been excellent. So thank you for sharing,
You're welcome.
you know, your own wisdom, and really providing a perspective that, you know, that was good for me to hear. And so I appreciate it at this kind of moment in time. So thank you for that.
When a lot of students are asked to memorize the most important questions, and it's not it for what we have experienced is that the most important question is the next question that comes to you to ask in your sacred space of your
Mhm.
individual conversation with your individual client. It's the only question. What
Mhm.
comes through us or through them.
Mhm.
And we're learning as much from our clients as they're learning from us. That is what feeds us and
Yeah.
continues. We'll never burn out. It's just so nourishing to us.
Mhm.
Always be learning.
Thank you for that.
Are we at time, Teresa?
We have about 3 minutes, so if anyone else has a comment or question, we got a few minutes left.
I just have a quick question. It really has something to do with certification through the AHNA. Does this course count towards some of those credit hours as well, or are these, I mean,
All of them. Yeah.
all of it does. Okay. I just was wondering.
You can be certified as a holistic nurse with the same CEs or a nurse coach. There's just
Oh, okay.
a book for holistic nursing, which is Holistic Nursing, a Handbook for Practice. It's
Okay.
a,
I actually have that, I'm pretty sure. So
it's a reference, and I've never read it page by page, but that's what it comes from.
okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Fun to be double board certified as a health and wellness nurse coach. So that's I started with the holistic nursing because the nurse coaching didn't even exist, and now it does. So I can use the same CEs to recertify
Okay.
for both boards.
And I just need to tell you, ladies, I will miss your webinar tonight, but I will be back on track. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get reconnected.
We're glad to have you. And you look a little more rested, Connie. I'm so happy for you.
I am so much more rested and relaxed. Life
Yeah,
is good.
you are smiling and I love it.
I know. It's like, oof, what a burden. I feel sorry
Yeah.
for my colleague because she's looking worn down already. And I said, "Ugh." Anyway,
Best wishes to you all on your new school year. And
thank you. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to
we
it.
need our baby nurses, so thank you for being there for them.
Absolutely. My pleasure. And again, thank you guys for this webinar. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we're glad to have you.
Yes,
We
thank
just want
you.
to answer questions and really shine the light about what nurse coaching is. A lot of people still don't know. And if we're really honest, as nurse coaching evolves, we're still in the baby steps. We're creating it. Nurses are creating nurse coaching.
Yeah.
As we
Yeah.
learn how to navigate like a little bit different conversation. And, even nurse practitioners know that coaching is part of their core competencies, but
Mhm.
it's not taught
It's
as coaching. It's starting to be, but as the fire catches, as it will, more and more people will be coming on board to really embrace this new generation of nurses as really empowering themselves and their clients to become more healthy. That's the one thing we all want is more health,
Right.
makes life a lot more enjoyable. And this program does that.
I'm going to share just a really quick story. I've been precepting a student, not from my program, but from out of state. And I guess I've precepted from some, I think some in the summer, maybe a couple in the spring. Well, no, she got all of her hours between spring and summer that she needed from me anyway. And she said to me one time, she goes, "You just go in there and you just sit down in a chair." She said, "You don't take your computer or anything." And I said, "Nope." I said, "I cannot talk and have conversation if I'm looking at them over a computer." And I said, "And I love their stories." I said, "That's how you get to know people." So anyway, she was amazed that I just go in there and sit down. I was like, "Well,
I know. Wow.
I'm
Well,
not walking in and propping myself up against the wall with a prescription pad." So it's,
and I'm sure your patient really appreciates that as well.
they do, "I could just tell you anything." I said, "Well, yeah, pretty
Well,
much."
There you go.
Yeah,
That's holding
back
space.
next week at the same time for our follow-up office hour and open for questions and answers. So hope
Thank you.
join us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, ladies. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah.
Thank you.